let's get some expertise with Steve Grobman, Executive Vice President and Chief Technology Officer at McAfee. And Steve, bear with me, but just for our audience sake, Crowdstrike, founded 2012 by alumni, essentially, of the current form of your business that has a complicated history of its own. Steve, a few people in the technology industry shared with me an email that Crowdstrike support sent them, and I'm summarizing or paraphrasing, but the email basically says, reboot up to 15 times, and that should do the trick. What do you make of that?
There are a wide range of situations that an organization might be in with a wide range of recovery procedures. The one that you're outlining, it's certainly plausible. So it's going to happen again. I'd really stress that cybersecurity defense is a very different industry than most other technology in that bad actors are innovating every single day, creating new attacks every single day, and making it such that in order to defend environments, whether it's McAfee defending consumers or CrowdStrike defending enterprises, requires a very rapid deployment of new technology to stay one step ahead of those bad actors. Right. So, while we're going to absolutely learn from this, I do think it's important that part of it is due to the nature of the business.
So basically, get used to it is kind of what you're telling us, Steve. And I'm wondering whether this, as Clara Shai just told us of Salesforce AI, this is inevitable. How often is this going to happen to us?
Yeah, I don't know that I would say it's inevitable. I do think that there are some unique characteristics. I'd put it this way. If we're going to drive cars at 70 miles per hour on roads, we know that people are going to get injured, and that doesn't mean that we shouldn't focus on auto safety. Mm-hmm. I think we're in the exact same world here. There are technologies like AI that bad actors are using to create more and more lethal attacks, and the cyber defense industry is going to rapidly be releasing new capabilities to mitigate those. Part of that means we're moving very quickly, and we need to learn how to do that with the minimal risk possible of introducing technology defects that cause the issue that we saw, like that we saw today. Yeah. But I'd be careful to predict that this is inevitable.
Okay, then how could we have done this differently? What do you think will the learnings ultimately be about how, with speed, you can update and better security without taking down global industry?
So even if you're moving fast, it doesn't mean that you need to do everything all at once. So when organizations roll out protection, doing it in a phased fashion, I know that that's generally the best known practice, but some of the underlying details of exactly how that's done, those are things that the industry is going to learn, polish, create some new procedures. I do think it's important that we don't overreact to this, where if we start putting too many controls on the ability to rapidly mitigate defenses and attacks, we could be in a much worse situation. But what I would say is, we as an industry will learn from this. We always do. If I reflect back to WannaCry back in 2017, coming out of that, we changed the way that we secured our networks, we changed the way that we secured our environments, and we learned. Back into the 90s when we had some of the big worms, we learned. So on a positive side, we understand this issue very well. We understand the guidance that organizations can have to get back in business. And we also understand even some of the residual impacts. One of the things that McAfee is seeing is scammers are taking advantage of the news cycle to try to scam consumers. We're getting calls into our help center where we're getting reports that our customers are getting reports from people pretending to be their bank, trying to trick them into giving them a password or other sensitive data. Mm-hmm. So it's even those angles that we need to educate the world that in a complex digital world, we really need to be on our guard across the spectrum of enterprise and consumer.
Steve, great perspective. Hands-on approach, Steve Grobman. We thank you, Executive Vice President and Chief Technology Officer over at McAfee.